afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for FOA Live, where we discuss the crucial topics and issues brought to us by our family offices and our on the rise wealth accumulators. I'm Jennifer Catrulia. I'm co-president of FOA and head of programming and business development.
And I am Rush Only, excuse me, co-president, and we'll be heading up these special interest groups as we kick those off. I'd like to thank everybody that's joined us today, and I'd like to go through. Jennifer will introduce both our guests that will be coming on. They're both members of our Resource Council. So excited to have them and thank them for taking their time today.
And for those of you who are signing in, we're super excited to have you. We are not new to webcasts, of course, but this is our first FOA live broadcast. So we're really thrilled to be able to bring on our great guest this week, and then next week we'll continue this 2 p.m. Eastern every Monday. Rush and I will join you, and next week we have joining us Miles Spencer, who's a great multi-exit member of FOA in the digital broadcasting, digital media space, and then we also have next week with us Brian King, who's CEO of Lotus Capital Markets. And again, so we're really excited to have them with us next week. But this week, before we dive in, I want to just give you a brief update. There's a ton of things happening for FOA. And so the most important thing I can say is if you are not already connected to us and to our weekly newsletter, please go to the FOA website and sign up for the ongoing subscription so you get the updates about our events and our thought leadership trips, our upcoming social and other events. So you get those, as well as we are rolling out new membership options, updates to the existing membership options, resource and sponsorship. Prospectus has rolled out a new one. We are kicking off our global FOA pickleball club, which I know a number of people have been super excited about, and it's been a hit since we launched that in February of this year with our first annual tournament, which was super exciting. And we'll be kicking off a multi-city tour, including New York City, Connecticut, Kansas City, Miami, Scottsdale, LA, and a number of other locations to come. So again, best places to see that are the website, which is on our events page, and we will have a button on the homepage for additional updates. LinkedIn, if you are connected to the Family Office Association LinkedIn page, as well as ideally to Rush and to me individually, that'll get you there. And then that weekly newsletter. So I'm going to punt over to Rush.
Thanks, Jennifer. To expand on that a little bit, the Connecticut event, September 11th through the 13th. If you haven't signed up or booked a room, please do that as soon as possible. The room block that we have and the slots are filling up quickly. I believe this is the last week that registration is open for that. We also have 2 Formula One events, Austin and Vegas, both coming up in the second half of the year for Formula One and the calendar. We have limited number of slots and tickets for those events. So if you're an F1 fan, or if you just want to come out and enjoy the event, please reach out to us. We also have a last minute F1 event, which is Singapore. We won't be hosting anything, but I am lucky enough to take a jaunt over there. So if anybody has or will be in Singapore, please reach out to me. The Special Interest Committee, we will be launching that. We will have specific topics that we will have special interest groups, both from the Resource Council and external, that should help with support on those. And I will be putting those topics together and looking for information and support for the topics. So I'll reach out to people individually, or when the topics are published, if you have any interest in being part of those and that community, please reach out to me.
All right. So Rush, thank you so much. And super excited to bring in our two guests. As we said, there's a lot going on, so please stay connected with us and we'll get everybody all the updated information that will be rolling out, as well as new website, new additional information for everyone. And so really excited about the weeks ahead. So we have two guests joining us today. First is Ed Abel. He is CEO of Care Sultans, and it's a company dedicated to really the 360-degree planning and care and support for families of all types. In this case, we'll be talking about our family offices, our wealth creators, and the unique challenges that they're facing as they want to help age actively, gracefully, and with minimum burden on their families. So Ed, welcome to FOA Live. We'll bring Ed in.
Hey, everybody. Welcome and excited to be here.
Awesome. And then Rush, we'll kick over to you for and we'll bring in Michael.
Thanks. We are also going to be joined by Michael Drabich. He is the Assistant Vice President of Global Sales at Hilton Global Associates. I will let him go through what they do. They're a professional navigative research firm, and they specialize in white glove due diligence. So Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Jennifer, Rush, for having me.
Pleasure. Good afternoon. So would love to jump right in and just ask first, Ed, Michael, if you'd share a little bit about yourself, your companies, and really, what you're most proud of in terms of how each of your companies are helping family offices, wealth accumulators, and really current events of what you're seeing in the space.
Michael, take it away.
Thanks so much, Ed. Hello, everyone. Rush, thank you for that great, fantastic introduction. Again, my name is Michael Drabich. I'm Assistant Vice President of Global Sales here at HGA, Hilton Global Associates. Hilton Global Associates is, in effect, a private investigative firm. We're a licensed private investigator in the state of New York and in the state of Florida. We are certified fraud examiners, and our CEO and founder, Melissa Kelly Hilton, we are an eponymous firm. She is on the Council of International Investigators. She served as a board member and as president. In effect, we support mitigating the challenges of financial and reputational risks that come with working with people. It is personnel due diligence. In layman's terms, it is background checks. That is our flagship offering. We are supporting family offices and the families they serve really in two key ways. One of them is in the pre-investment and pre-employment diligence needs that the investment offices have. So as you are being thoughtful about selecting a CIO, as a comptroller, any key members of your investment team, we hope that you utilize a service like ours to diligence those individuals before you bring them on. And the flip side of that coin is the investments themselves. I have found, and Ed, maybe you'd be able to speak to this from what you've been seeing, but I've found that family offices are really key lately to diversify their investments between fund and direct investments. We are seeing capital allocated to various funds, whether it be private equity, whether it be hedge, in some cases even venture. But also we're seeing the family offices get into the direct investment spaces themselves. They want to be sort of close to where the fire is, if you will. And so in both instances, our services can be super valuable as you diligence the key individuals involved with those transactions, whether that be, the principals that are going to be managing your allocated capital at the fund, or whether you're going to be investing in, say, an engine building company out in Michigan, and you want to understand the key, C-suite level officers that are now going to be sort of under your auspices. The last sort of pillar that I want to cover in terms of what our offering encompasses is also this idea that new wealth accumulators, I love that phrasing, Jennifer, as well as really established families of some means have unique needs, and our private client services are really a fit for that. So, conducting background due diligence into, potential hires on your staff, whether that be nannies, dog walkers, back office bookkeepers, all things of that nature. People are going to be in contact with your children, security personnel. All of that, we're able to conduct the same kind of in-depth diligence on those individuals, and then also buyers and sellers. And I use that term very, very loosely because it can encompass anything. Perhaps you're in the world of high art. You're going to be purchasing a piece of artwork. There's not a lot of known information on the seller. We're happy to assist you with a discreet investigation into the seller. And really, I think, on the flip side of that, any kind of purchases that are being made, any kind of loans that are being dispersed, all of that is important to mitigate the challenges that come with who are these people that are across the proverbial table from me in the transaction.
Great. And Michael, thank you very, very much. I have a ton of questions for you, so we'll come back. But would love to, and I probably just jumped in. We're learning as we do this first call, so you'll find on future lives, and I'll apologize to everyone on here. Even when Rush is supposed to go, occasionally I will jump in on him, so I apologize. So, but Ed, if we could ask for an update from you, and then I'll figure out whether I'm supposed to go next or Rush, and we'll keep going.
Great. Hey, everybody. Pleasure to be here. Jennifer, Rush, thanks for the invite. Michael and I spent some time last week talking and getting to know what Michael does, and it blew me away when you really think about what we need to do to protect ourselves from the labor and the resources that we do need in order to continue to grow and evolve, both as family offices and as individuals. For me, what I do is, so I'm a registered nurse, and over the years, I've had plenty of opportunity to work with very wealthy families. And one of the things that I saw over time was a lack of coordinated effort in the family to provide a way for the family's matriarch, patriarch, or the individual that got struck with a bad illness to stay at home and age out gracefully. What's beautiful is to age at home gracefully. And what people don't really realize is the amount of resources that are needed in order to coordinate this so that they're not just sitting at home, but they continue to stay active at home with the services that are needed. And again, as Michael spoke, they have unique needs. They might still want to go see their grandson play at a ball game, but they need a wheelchair and an ambulance to get there. They might need to go to 6 different doctors over a 2-week period, and who's going to coordinate all of the logistics and the file transfers and making sure that the doctors have what they need, so when the family gets there or the patient gets there, it's not, oh, we never got your chart. Oh, we never got that referral, or whatever the challenges are. And so what we do is we have a back office that manages the complete logistics for the family, as well as a consultant who is what we call feet on the street. These are the nurses who go to the home. They don't provide direct care, but they oversee and manage and implement the care that's needed, from anything from a construction project to accommodate wheelchairs, to needing 24 hours, 7 day a week, nurses' aides, companions, or any of the pieces in the middle. So what we really do is we basically become your owner's rep for keeping your family member at home. And many of you know what an owner's rep is. They do everything that's needed to make the project a success. And what we want to do is really simplify the elder care journey and allow them to age out gracefully at home.
Appreciate that, Ed. A follow-up question to that, because that when you're talking about aging family members, that's obviously a sensitive and tricky subject to bring up. So when would you suggest family members or people reach out, and what sort of information should they provide when they're reaching out for that first conversation?
Great. So what's important is to get us involved as early as possible. a lot of times we're not needed fully on board with a retainer agreement and all these necessary pieces, but to get us involved, so on the Saturday afternoon when all hell breaks loose, you're not calling us and we're like, oh, well, we don't even know the basics about who you are. So we have an extensive assessment that we go through with both the client and the family. It's about a 100-page assessment that really details the complete project or plan of care for this patient, whether it's again, the construction, which is one of the biggest challenges people have, to dietary concerns, to socialization. How are we going to keep them socializing? You know, a lot of times what people don't realize is most people who age at home can age at home but go out. You just have to have the resources and the coordinated effort to make that happen. So when you think about getting us involved, the sooner we can get involved and be aware of the situation, and we like to call out the pink elephant in the room. Most people don't think this is going to happen. And what happens is we get the phone call and it's the fire drill. And by getting the fire drill, you don't really get the efficiencies and the effectiveness. We're putting Band-Aids and we're just moving at a quick speed to make something as comfortable as possible. But with right time and planning, we can make this a smooth transition into the elder care journey. So the sooner the better. I tell my clients, my referral sources, if you even have a question, call us. We'd be happy to answer your question. A lot of times we're just pointing you in the right direction until you really need us. Once you need us, though, it starts with, we need a companion for my dad. I don't want him alone for 5 days a week. We have a sister company that if you're in New York or Florida, we provide that. If you're not in New York and Florida, we use outsourced resources that allow that to go on. So we will get the companion for your parent. We will get the nurse's aide. We will, arrange for the medical transportation that you might not even realize is available and accessible to you.
Great. And, Ed, that came up. I was speaking with a family the other day who said, people just assume that as a family office is magically all takes care of itself. And so that's definitely not true. And for sure, something we're seeing a lot of families go through. We talk about next gen transitions, but not about the complications associated with that. So thank you very much. And so, Michael, then on the other side, I mean, you're both in such sensitive areas that the families deal with. And Michael, for you, I deal a lot with forensics in another part of world for family offices. And so people think about what you do as generally being associated with an HR department and a corporate environment and all of those things, but maybe not so much about how families can and should be thinking about risk management and all of the various ways that you are become important in the mix. So maybe you can talk about kind of what you see, what some of the risks are that you help families avoid, and kind of hot topics that you're facing right now.
That's a great question, Jennifer. Thank you. Yeah, you're totally right. Ed and I bonded on our call like a couple of weeks ago about the sensitivities that we deal with. Nobody wants to be told that that their parent is aging or that they're running a serious risk by getting involved in a certain business dealing. These are not happy tidbits very often. So it's interesting that it seems Ed and I are both so cheerful. That's why we're able to navigate the space so gracefully. But it's interesting, Jennifer. Your question is well put, insofar as there's quite a bit to be concerned about, particularly as people misrepresent their backgrounds. One of the sort of key pillars of what we do is something called verifications. It's an industry term that, in effect, it really means we're going to verify, as the word implies, that the individuals you're dealing with, did they really have the purported work history that they're claiming to have? Do they really hold the credentials, be they industry or educational, that they are claiming to have? That's such a great baseline of what I call the integrity barometer. If you have an individual, and I'll use the fund side example, if you're a CIO of a family office and you're about to allocate a certain amount of money to a private equity firm, and one of the principals of the firm has gravely misrepresented their educational credentials, that's in a sense, it's a flag. It's a noteworthy or adverse marker that should say to you, well, wait a second, if you're going to tell this so-called white lie at this stage in the game, what happens when there's, serious things begin to unfold around fraudulence or around returns and so on. And so it's that kind of thing that I think we can copy and paste into the personal lives of the families. Is the caretaker that you're bringing in for your children, does that person, references can be fabricated. I say all the time, is that person somebody trustworthy? Is that person someone who is perhaps a vexatious litigant, someone who just likes to sue people for fun? We find that often. We find that often in all of the work that we do to support both investment teams and families. There are some people who are they're out there. It's unfortunate, but they're in a situation where they feel that they can take advantage of the wealth of their employers. And in so doing, you learn that they have a long history of frivolous litigation. And we can uncover that very easily using, sort of time-honored private investigative techniques, use of databases like LexisNexis, PTrack, Pacer, et cetera. We are old school private investigators with new school technology. That's how I like to put it. So, do we still send a runner to a local county court in Kentucky to pull records that are not really available online? Yes, we do. There is still a human being who has to go down to the courthouse and ask for those documents. And it's that level of thoroughness, I think, that sometimes is missing from the big box offerings that are encompassed in what people think of when they think of our service. To your point, Jennifer, HR departments and things of that nature. There's a lot of products and services in the marketplace today that are pitching themselves as background checks. And whether you are a novel or astute consumer of due diligence, you've got to be wary of that. You've got to be wary of what it is exactly you're getting when it comes to scope, when it comes to industry expertise. And one last thing I'll say to this question that you posed, Jennifer, is that at the end of the day, Hilton Global Associates, this is all we do. We're specialists. And I think that this kind of speaks to a larger conversation about how people in the positions that FOA families are in require specialty. I have seen, and I think we've all observed, this kind of death of expertise, across a lot of different industries. There's this idea that you should be one-stop shopping. It slices, it dices, it julienne's fries. There's no reason to be the Ron Popeil of the services that families need. I said Rush is laughing. Thanks for that, Rush. I appreciate it. So, that's the challenge. That's the challenge we're finding, is that you want to find service providers that are specialists in their area, not a service provider who is just tacking on all of these different offerings so that they can sort of, they can grab all the business they can. And, it's a little bit, I liken it to a Cheesecake Factory menu. It's many, many pages long, but none of the food is good.
One additional question,
Sure.
or follow on with that. And
yeah.
If you do well, I'll send you a free set of steak knives with your name.
I hope so.
So obviously the name Hilton Global Associates sort of puts out there that there is a global presence, and with so many family offices, getting out of their own backyards and starting to invest, cross borders and around the world, what steps should they be taking, and what's your advice on groups that are starting to kind of spread their wings and invest globally?
Yeah, it's a great question, Rush. And I think that it is one that, so I guess I'll do a short answer, a long answer. The short answer is yes. Yes, they should be expanding globally. Yes, Hilton Global Associates can support those needs. Yes, the word global is not just a moniker. It is something that we hold dear in terms of our flagship offering. The longer answer to that is that, so as I mentioned, we're an eponymous firm. Our founder and CEO, Melissa Kelly Hilton, is an industry powerhouse. She was formerly formerly the CEO or president, I should say, of the Sterling Diligence division of Sterling. You may know them as a high volume, sort of low level pre-employment shop that got into the specialty area and specifically chose Melissa to lead that charge. So when she broke away on her own, it was very important to her to continue to propagate our expertise in an ever globalizing economy. So in 2019, she spent something to the tune of 156 days traveling to nearly 72 countries around the world. And we are very, very proud of I like feet in the street, Ed, but I'm going to use boots on the ground. We have a lot of boots on the ground, strategic partners in pretty much every jurisdiction on earth, save a small handful. And we're able to leverage those partnerships to conduct the same kind of meaningful due diligence that I mentioned that we're able to do, obviously, here in the US and Canada and parts of Europe, largely the West, we can do virtually anywhere. So those partners allow us to utilize the traditional PI techniques, navigating litigation, navigating local language press, navigating the hyper local geopolitical landscapes that are going on in those areas, and again the language knowledge. I just mentioned it, but I'll say it again because it's that important. And so when we use those partners, we find that we come out really ahead of a lot of other firms in offering really meaningful information about what's going on in those areas. And I will say we're very proud of the work that we've done abroad and proud of a lot of the risks that we've helped to mitigate as firms continue to expand their global presence. I mean, a very, very quick example of this, I have a dear friend who works in the operational due diligence space. We have been assisting that team with their background checks piece of what they do, of their investments. And, we were able to uncover that there were some very unsavory ties in that region to things like terror groups and things of that nature. So to stay on the cutting edge of that is so important.
Awesome. And thank you. And I actually do want to take a minute. I know I see Miles Spencer is on, and Miles, we're going to hear from you next week, which is awesome. Thank you. And then Naeem and Bala and Teresa. And if we don't get to your questions during the actual live session today, we'll follow up with you and appreciate everybody who's on. So thank you. And would love to ask Ed, if you don't mind kind of bringing us home here, if you had to give one takeaway for families really as next steps, that top hot topic you're seeing, what would it be that you'd share with them that they should do today that's really actionable?
Take action sooner rather than later. Don't wait till your father or mother who might be showing signs of weakness fall and break their hip because no one realized that they needed a ramp instead of the steps. Or if you're starting to see early signs of dementia, technology is great because we can do a technology around the house to secure it so that if in the middle of the night, which is very common with people who have dementia, they abscond, they go out in the middle of the night. And we have been able to put both an ankle bracelet on as well as a perimeter surveillance so that we prevent that from happening. So in this case, it's all about prevention. And it's about recognizing it's not if, it's when for most of us.
Great. Well, Rush, I don't know if you have a final comment. I know we're at time. Gosh, this went so fast. And I promise, again, we're going to get our feet in and look forward to continuing on with all of you weekly on this show. Rush, if you want to wrap us up, and then we look forward to seeing you next week.
Again, this was our first run at it. Everybody that's joined, guests, Jennifer and I'm sure will debate how good and or bad this went, but we would love feedback on time, topic, interaction. Please don't hesitate to give us feedback. We're doing this for you and to help provide information and sort of a platform for the community. So this is for everybody that's joined. So please let us know what we can do better or what you liked. And again, appreciate everybody taking some time out of your Monday to join us. And we look forward to next week.
Michael, Ed, really a privilege, always so valued, and look forward to seeing both of you in person soon.
Thanks so much.
as it was for
Have
us.
a great
Thanks for the
afternoon. Thanks
invite.
very much,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.